All right, guys, so what we're going to do is we're just going to run through the answers for Sandbox Evasion. All right, so the intro goes over what sandboxes are. Then you have this portion here, which talks about static and dynamic sandboxes. And typically, sandboxes are run dynamically, and we'll check to see if the code or program is malicious. There's different types of products out there that can do sandboxing, such as firewalls. There are sandboxes for emails, or sandboxes for other types of antivirus programs. So let's see here. Sandboxes are a form of dynamic analysis. What type of sandboxes analyze attachments to emails? It's mail sandboxes. And I'll also put this in the description of the video. We'll go on to the next task here. And it looks like they want you to download a file. So this is the intro to Sandbox Evasion, sleeping through sandboxes. So essentially, when the sandbox if a sandbox is detected, then the application will sleep during that duration of time and will not execute any malicious code. That way, it's not seen as malicious, right? So they basically go over that, and there's ways to create your payload so that it would essentially attempt to evade the sandbox. And so for this portion here, it says most sandboxes are only allowed to run for a short period of time, and that's sleeping, right? And then the second portion is sandboxes usually run with limited resources and virtualized devices. So checking system information to see if it is a sandbox, and it could check the system information. So let's say the system has a very small amount of RAM or disk space. That's a good indicator it's a sandbox, because the sandbox isn't going to need a terabyte of storage or 32 gigs of RAM. If it's got maybe 1 gig of RAM with like 5 gigs of storage, then that may be an indicator, hey, that's a sandbox, and therefore your program will check these system information and resource details before running. So that's essentially what that is, and we'll move on to task 4. So here they dive into Sandbox Evasion. You can access this application here, and they have you run an application and see how that application is responding. Is it sending requests to other external websites? Is it doing anything malicious? And you'll have this little dashboard on the right side that will tell you if it is doing anything malicious. So that's all very interesting. Again, timing is a possibility that timing could evade this. It's a possibility that your code can detect that a system with very low resources is actually running it, and therefore it might be a sandbox. So of course, they go over that as well. So that's all very interesting. Let's go ahead and scroll down a little bit here. Okay. And then if you do pick anything up malicious, you may even see that there's like a hash detected for some type of virus, right? All right. So let's look at the answers here. Read about implementing various sandbox evasion techniques. No answer needed. Which evasion method involves reaching out to a host to identify your IP address? And that's geolocation filtering. Which evasion technique involves burning compute time to escape the sandbox? Sleeping, as we mentioned earlier. All right, task 5. And here they let you run a program with a sandbox checker, and it will check to see if there's if that program is trying to check memory, if it's using some type of sleeping methods to bypass the sandbox, and these are ways that it will check to see if it found anything. In this case, it did, and you'll receive a flag. So this is your flag here, THM curly bracket 6C1F 995EC, and I'll put this in the description. You can just copy that. All right, so that wraps it up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Unfortunately, when I tried running the machine, it did not work for me. I'm not sure why, um, but hey, you got the flags, we got the flags. And if you guys don't know, let me go ahead and go over to my dashboard here so we could take a look at the red teamer path. And I want to give you an update on this one. So for the red teaming, if you follow along with my videos, I've started all the way from, I believe, red team fundamentals all the way down to network security evasion. I haven't gone past that. I'm not planning to make videos for compromising Active Directory. If you go through compromising Active Directory, which I did, and this is how I recommend you do it, okay? Because this is a shared network, meaning that if somebody has issues with completing the lab, they can reset the lab. So you can be like halfway through the lab, right? And then somebody resets it, and now you just have to do everything over again. And that takes a 30-minute lab and turns it into like a 3-hour lab, a 5-hour lab, because now you have to redo it every time somebody resets it, and people do reset it, believe me, they do. So what I found to be useful in this one is just to watch somebody's YouTube video, watch them go through it, right? Hopefully and luckily for them, they don't have somebody reset it on them. And that way you could learn what's being taught within that 45-minute time frame, rather than spending more than 45 minutes, because now you're wasting your time, right? And doing something and troubleshooting issues that you come across because you're going to come across them. I think TRYHACKME is a great platform, especially on a budget. But what I'd recommend you do is there's other security. There we go. TMC Security, THM Security. So THC Security, they have their own courses. They have one on, I think it's like pen testing basics, and that's a really good course. I did it, I finished it. I learned a whole lot about how to exploit Active Directory, and a lot of the same techniques that they're teaching here, I learned there. Another great resource if you want to learn Active Directory exploitation is through INE. So I'm actually doing INE here. You can see they have this long Windows post exploitation module and let's go up here, some like 39 hours of content, right? And this is pretty gold here, because the great thing about this, I'm not trying to sell it to you. I'm doing this right now and I'm liking it. I'm telling you, hey, this is something that I see, this is something that might interest you. So, if you find yourself struggling with TRYHACKME at any time, just know there's other resources out there, right? That will teach you more efficiently, because they will show you a video. For example, let me just roll you through here. I'm not getting paid to say any of this. I just like their content. It is a little pricey though, I'm gonna be honest. They need to bring the price down. So they'll teach you and they'll run you through a PowerPoint slide, and then they'll run you through a hands-on lab. And as they're running you through the hands-on lab, you get to do the lab, and you could spin it up so you could start the lab, and it'll bring up a Kali Linux box here, right? And this is actually really cool. And at the end, you'll get like some questions. So I won't spin up the lab. You'll get it. You've been in a Kali Linux box before, so you know what that will look like. And you'll get some test questions here that will ask you questions here. So this is all really cool. I'm just going to close out of that. And it'll do like a little check mark once you're done, right? And it'll keep track of your progress. And at the end, you can possibly go take something like the EJPT. And if you get the EJPT, you may be able to explain to, the hiring managers or the IT manager that's interviewing you, how you took this exam, how you implement some of those concepts within your actual job, or how you learn how to do a security assessment, and explain to them what experience you developed from these courses. So always keep that in the back of your head, that when you're doing this type of stuff, it does help with interviews, and can also in some ways supplement some of the experience that's required. Although experience is king, so if you get experience, then you'll be golden. But if not, second best would be shadowing somebody doing it or doing labs for whatever it is that you're trying to learn or whatever skill you're trying to gain. So that's just some added information to this. And, like I've mentioned, I've completed at this point the red teaming room from my perspective, the compromising Active Directory. That's not something I'm going to be covering, but I am going back. And if you look at my YouTube channel, you'll see that I've actually started creating rooms for like networking basics. So I'm actually going back to some of other um, these other learning courses here, these other learning paths, and I'm creating videos for them. So that way, if you're interested in like CompTIA Pen Plus, I'm gonna start doing that. If you're interested in offensive pen testing, I have videos for that one. If you're trying to complete junior penetration tester, like again, I'm gonna have videos for that. I'm making them. So, please like and subscribe if you want to see that content, if you want to follow along, if you want to learn. And I think the most valuable portion of being a subscriber is being able to stay up to date with the content that I'm releasing, such as tips on how to pass certifications like, the Network Plus, the CISA Plus, do one on the CISSP pretty soon. And that's going to be golden content. It will help you accelerate your career and earn more income because having these type of credentials with experience, with possibly a bachelor's degree, although not needed, will dramatically improve uh, your living situation and how much income you're able to bring in. I guarantee you that. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye-bye.